Imagine your life is like a stage with bright lights shining everywhere, but you're hiding in the shadows, too afraid to step forward. You can hear the applause, see people cheering, feel the energy, but somehow you've convinced yourself it isn't meant for you. If this feels familiar, then this story is for you. This is the story of Peter, a poor boy from a small, dusty village. Peter lived in a tiny, worn-down house with a leaky roof and walls that were barely holding together. His clothes were old, patched, and faded from the sun. Every day he walked to school with shoes that had holes, trying to keep his head down so no one would notice him.
Peter was not just poor, he was shy, terribly shy. He believed that people would laugh at him if he spoke, that his thoughts didn't matter, and that he had nothing to offer. While other children laughed and played, Peter stayed in the background, watching life happen around him, but never daring to join. In school, he loved learning, but he never answered questions in class. When the teacher asked something, he would shrink deeper into his seat, whispering to himself, "They'll laugh. I'll make a fool of myself. Better to stay quiet."
One day, the school announced a storytelling contest. Peter's heart leapt. He loved stories. He could imagine worlds, heroes, and adventures better than anyone. But the idea of speaking in front of people filled him with terror. Every fiber of his being screamed, "Don't do it! You'll fail! You're nothing!" Yet something inside him stirred, a tiny spark. His teacher noticed him doodling in his notebook instead of signing up. She sat beside him quietly and said, "Peter, do you know why the quietest voices often have the strongest stories? Confidence isn't about being loud. It's about believing your story matters. One day you will speak, and people will listen. But first, you must try." Peter nodded, unsure if he could ever be brave enough. But for the first time, he felt a flicker of hope. The day of the contest arrived. Peter's legs trembled as he stood backstage. The hall was full of students, teachers, and parents. The bright lights made him squint, and the silence before the first story seemed endless. He gripped his notebook so tightly his knuckles turned white. When it was his turn, Peter's heart pounded like a drum in his chest. His voice shook at first. "Once upon a time," he paused, took a deep breath, and began again. This time, he imagined he was not speaking to a hall of people, but to one small child, listening intently. He told a story about a small bird who wanted to fly, but was scared of leaving the nest. The bird was afraid of falling, afraid of being laughed at, afraid of failing. But one day, it took a leap and discovered it could soar. Peter's voice grew steadier as he spoke. The audience leaned in. The fear in his heart began to melt, replaced by something new, power. By the time he finished, the room was silent for a heartbeat, and then erupted into applause. Peter didn't win first place that day, but for the first time in his life, he felt victorious. He had stepped out of the shadows, and the world had noticed. From that moment, Peter made a promise to himself. He would no longer hide. Each day, he took small steps, answering a question in class, helping a friend, sharing his stories with villagers during gatherings. Each act, no matter how small, strengthened his confidence. Months turned into years. Peter kept pushing himself. He studied hard, spoke up, joined local youth clubs, and even started mentoring younger children in storytelling. With each challenge, he discovered that confidence wasn't something magical. It was built through action.
Eventually, Peter was invited to speak at a regional youth leadership event. Thousands of people filled the hall. He stood backstage, recalling the shy boy he once was, the boy who hid behind patched clothes in silence. When he walked onto the stage, the audience cheered. He felt the familiar rush of fear, but this time, he didn't run. He smiled, took a deep breath, and began to speak. Peter shared his journey, how a shy, poor boy from a small village learned to believe in himself, how he faced fear, and how each small step built his confidence. By the end of his speech, there wasn't a single dry eye in the room. He had become the person he once dreamed of becoming. Not rich, not famous, but confident, empowered, and unstoppable. The secret weapon that Peter discovered, the same one used by successful people everywhere, is simple. Self-confidence grows through action. The moment you step out of the shadows, confront your fears, and refuse to let shyness or doubt control your life, you unlock your true potential. So if you've been hiding, thinking your story doesn't matter, remember this: the moment to step into your light is now. Speak your story, take your chance, and let the world see the incredible person you were always meant to be. If this story inspired you, please give it a like and share with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to join us for more stories like this. Thanks for watching.